Assassin's Creed Mirage is everything that it promised to be, a return to the roots and the AC games of old. This is the Supreme Magi, and this is my review of Assassin's Creed Mirage. Right off the bat, I want to make it very clear that this is an Assassin's Creed game through and through. You're not playing as a Viking or a demigod or something in between that is not an assassin. Instead, literally everything, and I mean everything in this game revolves around the conflict between the assassins and the Templar, and you are playing as a fully complete and bona fide assassin. This is a spoiler-free review, of course, and all the footage shown here is from the first 4 hours of the game. The first thing I want to talk about here is definitely the gameplay. Stealth is king again, and combat has a very limited scope. The game rewards you for using a stealthy approach and punishes you for just barging through the main gate, no holds barred. Unlike the recent RPG games, where honestly even if you get surrounded by a bunch of soldiers, you're still gonna be fine because only one person attacks you at a time, but in Mirage, you definitely can't take on a contingent of soldiers alone. Just walking into a fortress through the front gate is basically suicide in this game, as once multiple enemies surround you, they're not even gonna wait for you to finish your attack animations, and the dodge window is also much tighter. This is quite realistic and honestly how it should be, since the assassins are known for their hidden ways of killing their targets using stealth, trickery, and mobility. In fact, I would say this system is even better than the games from AC1 to Unity, since in those games you can just spam the counter button and kill hundreds of soldiers alone. But here, Basim is a glass cannon, and although he can kill any enemy within the reach of his hidden blade, he dies very fast in full-blown combat. I love the realism here, which forces you to really think like an assassin. You have to plan your approach. The gameplay loop as well as the mission design in Mirage also completely adheres to this philosophy, and I absolutely love it. Whenever you are infiltrating a location to assassinate your target, there are multiple ways to approach, just like the black box missions in Assassin's Creed Unity. You could just take the general approach of going in stealthily and killing your way to the target, or you could use the situation, surroundings, or even other people to your advantage.
Where there is disorder, there is chaos, and chaos can bring opportunity. See what avenues present themselves. Be reactive, but patient, and trust your instincts.
In all the missions that I played through, there were multiple ways to approach an assassination. I could hire some mercenaries to cause some commotion, to lure the target outside, or I could cause a slave rebellion to confuse the guards. I even had options to hire mercenaries who could go storming through the main gate while I sneaked through. The mission design here is absolutely stellar, and I adore the stealth approach that you are forced to take, because once you start gaining momentum and assassinating enemy soldiers left and right without being detected, all the while making your way to your target and then finally finishing them off, is one of the most coolest, one of the most satisfying badass feeling that I have ever got in gaming. Basim is also appropriately equipped with tools and gadgets to silently take down enemies. You have bombs, throwing knives, darts, traps, tons of stuff that you can use to stealthily take down enemies. The levels and environment design also cater to silently approaching. There are also a lot of environmental and architectural objects placed which you can use to destroy your enemies. I also like how the different tiers for these tool upgrades allow you to choose between the bonuses you want per tier, and you can switch them anytime you want. So at tier 1, I can either choose to make the throwing knives 50% more powerful so I can take out armored enemies, or I can increase the number of knives I can carry. Choice like this is awesome, and allowing me to switch between these different choices at any given moment's notice, allowing me to cater to that particular mission, is also amazing. They have also removed all leveling and RPG systems, and the skill tree is small, concise, and focuses on how you can become an even more efficient killing machine. You have some really cool abilities like the chain assassination, where Basim can simultaneously target up to 3 enemies and instantly kill them. This ability does, however, look like he's teleporting himself and does seem a bit unrealistic, but Ubisoft has explained that it looks like a teleport because the animus is actually glitching because of the speed at which it has to process the information, since Basim's movement are so quick. Another amazing gameplay system that finally makes a comeback is notoriety. This is basically similar to the bounty systems you see in other open world games and the ones that you saw from Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. If you are seen committing an act of crime like killing or stealing, then your notoriety level increases and you will find even more guards patrolling the streets hunting for you. An even more awesome detail is that if normal civilians see you while you have a wanted level, they will start shouting and calling for the guards and alerting the people around them.
Fetch the patrol! This is the criminal they see! Hurry!
In fact, even when guards spot you while you have a wanted level, they will reference the last action you did. They will say stuff like, "Hey, isn't this the guy who broke into the shipyard the other day?" This is an amazing level of detail and just ends up making the game more immersive, and I really appreciate that the devs took the time to sort out these details and implement them. Mirage covers the map of the legendary round city of Baghdad and its surrounding regions. The map is much smaller than the recent games, however, it is much tighter and has a more focused experience. Baghdad is amazing and is jam-packed with an insane amount of detail, whether it be the NPC routines going about their daily lives doing their work, or simply architecture, which is a marvel to look at. And since the map is smaller, the different areas are unique and have a personality of their own. This tighter city design has also allowed the devs to heavily focus on parkour. And boy, was it a major surprise for me, and I was absolutely blown away by it. From the gameplay trailers shown by Ubisoft, the parkour looked a lot like Assassin's Creed Origins, but maybe slightly better. But now that I have extensively played the game myself, I can say that the parkour is really good, and it's nothing like Origins. Honestly, I don't mind saying this, and I know it's high praise, but the parkour is very close to Unity. And while the animations might not be as flashy as Unity, there is a certain tightness to it, and it feels really polished. You know, like how in Unity, Arno might sometimes feel like Spider-Man, where he's doing all these insane and floaty jumps and everything, and it doesn't look realistic. While the animations are pretty good and the flow of parkour is amazing in Unity, it's not always realistic. But here the movement feels hefty, it has weight, and the animations feel tight. Everything is very well put together, and the feedback is honestly very satisfying. There are no clipping issues or terrain issues or anything like that in Mirage, and generally if you don't see a ledge or something, you can't climb it. One of the biggest things that elevates parkour are the closely knit streets of Baghdad. No matter where you look or where you go, the devs have built this city in such a way that you can always enter a free run of parkour and reach your destinations without ever even touching the ground. In fact, in my entire playthrough, I didn't even use my horse in the city, not even once. The only time that I use my horse are when I have to travel outside the city. This is how good the parkour honestly is, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the devs have built a city with parkour in mind. And it just serves to make you feel more mobile, more fast, and more like a badass assassin. Mirage also has amazing lighting, and everything just looks beautiful like a work of art. It's breathtaking and the graphics of the game are high fidelity. I think the textures are also a level above Valhalla and Odyssey's, where the ground textures are much more detailed and the house textures and building architecture comes out more nicely, and everything just looks vibrant and attractive. The game is also really well optimized. I don't have the highest end rig, but my game is always averaging around 80 frames per second at 1440p ultra settings. Another thing that I want to mention is, even though the lip sync might still be odd at times, the animations, especially the facial expressions during cutscenes, have seen a huge overhaul and upgrade since Valhalla and Odyssey. They no longer look like the facial expressions are generated by AI. They look like proper mocapped expressions, and I honestly appreciate it. The expressions that the faces reflect are much more suitable to the context of the dialogue and feel much more natural, which I honestly appreciate, and another detail I'm really grateful that the devs went to length for. Now let's talk about the story and characters of the game. Mirage tells us the origin story of Basim, whom we know from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The entire story focuses around the conflict of the Templars and the Assassins. The Templars have built immense influence and power in the Abbasid Caliphate, while the Assassins help the rebels revolting against the Imperial regime from the shadows. At the start of the game, Basim is just a lowly thief, and we can see through his eyes how much he admires the assassin and their struggle to free the common people from the yoke of oppression and injustice. As we go through Basim's journey of becoming an assassin in order to build a better life for the common people, it's a really heartfelt, grounded and touching story. We follow this confused and lost young man as he tries to find his purpose to build a better world where people can live and die freely on their own terms. I also find it really refreshing how the story takes us through Basim's emotions as he trains for months at Castle Alamut, the headquarters of the Assassin's Brotherhood. He doesn't always understand the meaning of the deep and philosophical teachings of his teacher, the Master Assassin Roshan. He often loses his patience during training fights, resulting in impulsive outbreaks and him ultimately losing the battle. It takes him a long time to learn how to control his emotions and keep himself calm during battle and think about things in a logical and calculative manner. This is very refreshing that a person just doesn't, join the assassin and la voila, he's suddenly super powerful. We actually watch as Basim grows, struggles with his training, and then finally reaches the rank to become an initiate assassin. And we go through the entire ritual, his hard work, and it's honestly amazing to see. One of my favorite details is how until you become an assassin, Basim cannot even perform a leap of faith. He just awkwardly jumps from the high points to the haystack below. This is an amazing detail, and unlike the old games where the characters can perform a leap of faith even before becoming an assassin, the devs actually took extra time to work on a different jump animation just for the first 2 hours of the game. Things like this is what tells me that the devs really loved making this game and they went all in to fine tune everything to the smallest detail as possible. And once again, I am really grateful that they decided to go the extra mile and do small things like these, which really makes you love the game. Another awesome detail I liked was how Basim struggles with controlling his pet eagle at the start. He doesn't really get well with the eagle, but then they both eventually grow closer as Basim continues to train at Castle Alamut, which honestly the castle also looks amazing and is a huge fan service moment for old Assassin's Creed fans, especially fans of the first game. The entire story basically focuses on Basim as he goes through different targets in the Caliphate in Baghdad, all the while meeting new friends and making new allies. We honestly meet a pretty well written cast who are well developed, and my favorite is of course Basim's teacher, the Master Assassin Roshan. Her dynamic with Basim is truly intriguing and inspiring to watch as she guides him along the right path and teaches him the way of the assassins.
Through all my stoicism, my harsh lessons, know that you have impressed me, Basim. The Order's presence in Baghdad and beyond rests on shifting sands, so long as you remain at the tip of our spear.
And that is where I intend to remain, beholden to your guidance, Master.
Also special credit to Roshan's voice actress, who did an absolutely phenomenal job at portraying the character. The story is also full of Easter eggs from the past games, like this one scene where a fellow assassin explains to Basim why they use the feathers of the heron bird to dip in their target's blood when they perform the assassination. This is of course something that Bayek from Assassin's Creed Origins did, and since he was one of the founders of the Brotherhood, the current assassins also follow the same practice. While the story is not something that will blow your socks off, honestly, it is decent and has enough grunt to keep you playing. Not to mention it's full of Assassin's Creed lore and everything in it is completely focused on the Brotherhood. The story generally focuses on investigating a particular mission, infiltrating and assassinating, and honestly the core gameplay loop is still going pretty strong almost 2 decades later, and I have no major complaints with the mission design because everywhere I went there were assassins and more assassins, and because of this complete focus on the assassins I honestly enjoyed every single bit of the story. So in the end, I'm just gonna say that it's not an exaggeration to say that Mirage is a love letter to the Assassin's Creed games of old, especially the first one which started it all. If you love the old games and don't like the new RPG games, then I'm really confident you're gonna love Mirage. But if it's the other way around and you love the RPG games, I think you will still love Mirage because it's a fresh experience which changes things a lot. And after playing 3 games, Origins, Odyssey and Valhalla, with the same type of gameplay, I think people will really appreciate Mirage. The story, while not being exactly a masterpiece, is faithful and honors the Assassin's lore, puts the Brotherhood first and foremost. It also has some amazing well-developed cast and a realistic portrayal of its main character. Mirage's biggest strengths are of course its core gameplay, mission design, and its supreme focus on the assassins. Baghdad is breathtakingly beautiful and allows for seamless parkour. So in the end, should you buy the game? I would say absolutely yes, especially considering that Ubisoft has priced it at a very attractive retail price of $50. I think the game is definitely worth that money, especially if you are a huge Assassin's Creed fan. You will absolutely love it. And in a world where companies are selling $70 remakes and remasters, we actually get a good game for $50 which stays true to its roots and pays homage to its 16-year-old series. So yes, AC Mirage is a 100% buy for me. If you enjoy this review, please like and subscribe to the channel and let me know your thoughts in the comments. I do hope you have a great and positive day and happy gaming.